Okay, so welcome to another Chief Hammer battle report. This time it's going to be a special battle report because today I am testing something. I am testing the possibility of playing against an AI, and for the purposes of this battle report, I chose to have a battle of 500 points, vampire counts, and empire against ChatGPT. Now, how could this work? Obviously, there is going to be certain constraints, or there are certain things that obviously the program cannot do, or the software cannot do, the artificial intelligence. But to keep it fair and to keep it in a chance bracket, which is going to be the way that further on I can continue doing these battle reports. Here's how I logically did it. So it falls on lots of chance and with the possibility of just allowing the AI to take decisions, how move the miniatures and everything. But this is the steps that I did. First of all, I just lay off a map, as you can see, like the battleground as I did, without the miniatures. I set up a couple of dice on the map just to delimit the colored dice to delimit what the borders are. For example, I choose yellow dice to make the middle line, and I put some red dice in like 6 quadrants. I divided the map in 6 quadrants, and I put a red dice in the middle of all of them, so that the artificial intelligence could know, based or in reference to some of the scenery that he can see, and the red dice and the yellow dice, where to position his troops, and it worked perfectly. Um, but that's just for deployment purposes. So to keep it fair, first I said, okay, make a 500. I first tried with a 500 point list just to see if it could be capable of creating lists. And of course, I just gave my input with certain things that make no sense, or when it came to just adding magical weapons, given the units that he told me to put, then we add the magical weapons and everything, depending on what he wants to buff and everything. All right, so the first thing was to just ask ChatGPT to first create two lists, one and with random units. It doesn't matter, random formations, random everything, of vampire accounts and of the empire, because we're going to have to just use the armies, what I have, and I'm forcing myself to start playing with what you see is what you get, so we don't have all these proxy things at this moment. So what you see is actually what the units are going to be. So I think it's fair, and I think it's visually more correct when it comes to units. Uh, when it comes to painting, that's another thing. I mean, painting, well, some things are going to be painted, some things not. But what you see in the map, it's going to be the units. Okay, so he makes two random lists. Then I start putting them into the army builder. And then I ask ChatGPT, okay, for this army, would you like to add any particular weapon or anything? Okay, just this, and that. Okay. But before we chose any of the magical items, of course, it was like, okay, so the lists are built up. They're like kind of in the bracket of the 500s. Then we roll to see which one gets which list, you know, like just not be like, okay, then I take this one and you take the other one. No, I can either play with the Empire or the Vampire Council. That was another factor of chance. So once that is done, then I feed the information into the old world builder, and I start adding. Once we know what is available for his what army is he going to play to, what army is ChatGPT of this the artificial intelligence is going to play with, and once I have acquired my army, okay, we fill up with what magical weapons he wants to do. Of course, this is a little bit of a tedious process because you got to explain via voice, which is like the best way that you can carry instead of just showing text, or you can just take screenshots of the magical weapons and everything on the roster, and it would just evaluate what is better, and corroborating it with information that it can find on the internet of other artificial intelligence that have an overview of what the rules are and everything. So of course, First and foremost, okay, so I just gave him the screenshots and he can analyze it, and he could also analyze the pictures. So of course we fill up with the magical weapons and everything, and then we have a more balanced list. Then we rolled off to see who gets the first turn to start deploying. But also very important is like, okay, first I thought of, okay, we can make also a random order of unit deployment, so it can make the game even more random, so that the chances, the random chance is the highest. It's like you gotta adapt with whatever you have. And if you just have terrible things, when then you gotta make the best out of it. And I think that makes you a better player because you adapt to the situation instead of just having like a regular. Of course, you can make like a tournament list, but of course, I mean, like it's you're going to by you're going to already be prepared for whatever ChatGPT can throw at you. So the chance that you cannot get the army that you want and you cannot get the list that you want, it gives that a fair chance of a fair random chance, and it makes it, at least for me, more interesting. Anyway, so when it comes to the units, with my um, vampire counts, I got a unit of 5 dire wolves, a unit of 14 grave guard, and it has a level 2 necromancer acolyte in it. With 2 spells, I chose to have Doombolt, and I got Stream of Corruption. I got 2 units of 20 zombies, and that's my list of 507 points for my vampire counts. On his side, he has a unit of 15 halberdiers, with 2 detachments of 10 riflemen on each side, and unit of 4 knights of the Empire, accompanied by a captain of the Empire on a war horse. I think he had the Berserker Blade for extra attacks, and I don't, and the armor of meteoric iron. I think it was. I don't especially know what it does, but I mean this is the first game, so maybe Chad forgot about a couple of things about his army along the way, but this is basically what it is. And this is the formation, which curiously, it actually gave me good references to where to position his armies. And of course, when I placed the units, I corroborated by image to, is this correct, is this not correct, etc., etc. And it worked out pretty much well. So this is the formation. So let's go to turn number 1. All right, so turn number 1. Um, let's see. So on turn number 1, what I did with the vampire accounts, it was pretty much just, let me see, just I shuffled the units of zombies a little bit, and I placed my grave guard. I just moved them to the side because the zombies were kind of in the way. I moved the dire wolves a little bit to the front. I mean, they're not gonna be very good. I cannot definitely not charge his units in the front because they're just gonna stand and shoot, just kill the dire wolves. So what I did is just I shuffled some zombies to the side. I opened a gap over there, and I just like moved my graveyard on the side because they're probably going to be, if he's gonna charge me with the knights, I'm going to use the graveyard just to eliminate them. They got great weapons and everything. So that's pretty much it for my turn number 1. I think I casted a Dumbolt. Let me see for the next picture. All right, next picture. If you hear a clap sound, I make a clap sound so I can just synchronize the audio track with the pictures. It just makes it somewhat simpler for me because it's really annoying to just start finding in the audio track where I just have to place the images. I use a very rudimentary software for the creation of the videos, but this works perfectly. Anyway, so he moved his knights to the front, and I didn't cast anything because I'm not in range of casting my Doombolt, which is 24 inches. So he just moves his knights forward, and the rest of his army just stayed in place. So let's go to the next image. Next image. So I just moved the zombies kind of like in 2 separate blocks, because either if he charges with his knights against my unit of zombies, I can take his flank with one of the units of zombies, and I can just pin them down. Maybe I can win even by combat resolution and extra ranks. And given that the knights not necessarily have the best attacks when it comes to that, or even if they got them, it really doesn't make any difference when you're hitting zombies. I mean, like you need like lots and lots and lots of attacks of shitty attacks just to kill zombies. So these are very efficient attacks and a very maneuverable, average kind of units, but against zombies, they're really not going to make much damage. Perhaps the captain could do, but given chances, maybe he can start chipping like 2 wounds out of the zombies or something like that. But it's not going to be really necessary. Now, my dire wolves move a little bit north. Um, and I think at this point, let me just check the next picture. Yes, in this turn, I was able to be in range of casting my Doom Bolt against his unit of halberdiers. And of course, I concentrated over there, and I kind of clipped because of the template. I clipped like it can reach 11 of his guys. So Doom Bolt is very very destructive when it comes to um, to units with just average toughness. So I cast a Doom Bolt on that unit, and I also equipped my Necromancer with a Wand of Jet. So I got a pretty good casting roll, and he only has the Faded Dispel, but it didn't work anyway. So yeah, the Doom Bolt managed to hit, and it killed. It was 5 guys, triggering a panic test on his unit of halberdiers. So let's go to the next picture to see what happens. All right, so in the next picture, you can see that the halberdiers have fled. They're in the border of the map together with his detachment unit of riflemen. Avoiding, of course, with this, that his riflemen shoot at my dire wolves. And, of course, the other unit of riflemen walk or flee through terrain, which immediately destroyed its unit. So it's not a good day for the Empire, for ChatGPT. So human 1, machine 0. And yeah, I'm just expecting to see what is his next move. So let's go to the next picture. All right, on the next picture, he rallies. And of course, he rallied with his unit of halberdiers and his riflemen. And on my side, pretty much nothing moved, of course, because it's his turn. But he asked to. I'm just going to address ChatGPT as a he because I use the he voice, the male voice. So I'm just gonna address it like that. So so ChatGPT just moved those knights. They're not knights of the White Wolf. They're just regular Empire knights. Just move them forward and ask me to angle them to face the Graveguard. Of course, I suggested, well, I don't know what the point of that is. You could just literally charge somebody because, I mean, you equip them with lances and everything, so you just don't charge. They're pretty pointless. I mean, the lance is useless, so you just gotta go for your regular weapons and war horses. So you might as well just charge and start destroying some zombie units and just, do something like that. But it didn't. It just wanted to keep its distance and just to move his unit a little bit further and just angle them in order to prepare them for a charge against the Great Guard, something like that. All right, so let's go to the next picture. Next picture. So what happened is I just moved the direwolves a little bit and I shuffle the zombies in a way. I move them in a position which I just have that like box set, like that gap in between the 2 zombies and the graveguard, just to make it possible that once he tries to make the charge or he tries to get close or make any move in particular, I just simply just box him and just like attack him on both flanks and attack him on the front, use the great weapons and just completely obliterate his unit. I'm not counting too much in killing the captain because he's very tough as it is. And I really don't have anything besides the attacks of the Graveguard that can really just make wounds on him. But as far as I'm concerned, I think with this box set, I can just pin him down and just get the charges in. His unit just rallied, but it didn't move. And he didn't shoot against the dire wolf. So let's go to the next picture. Next picture. So it's a little bit blurry, but what he decided to do was a little bit weird. Instead of charging the zombies, he just moved within the range of 3 inches of my zombies. So I don't know if he's just expecting to just get charged by my zombies, but this was a weird move. I said, like, I recommend you to just charge. Why would you just waste time? Just get them to the charge and destroy them. And that's it, you know? Because otherwise, you just give me the charge and your lance is pretty useless as a recommendation, of course, because it can be an artificial intelligence, but it just doesn't understand what the fuck is going on. But I just left it like this. So yeah, but no, no, no. It literally just said, no, no, no. I'm just gonna put pressure on your unit. You're not putting pressure on anything. But all right, it's just like the first time that we had this battle. So yeah, well, that's what it thinks. It's a good decision. Fine, let's just keep it that way. So I just moved its knights forward. I just put my dire wolves over there because I want to avoid the enemy fire. I just don't want to give him any points, or I don't want to give him enough points that when I massacre his unit, he can maybe get into the range of okay, we are kind of in a in a draw because I also cost you some wounds. But in any case, the dire wolves are just shit. You know, this is like very non-costly units. It's just diversion and type beats and just to take flanks and things like that. It's not really like if you kill a unit of direwolves, I really don't care. You know, the most important unit of my army is really the grave guard and the necromancer. The rest of them is just trash that I can just shove at you just to distract you and just to accomplish a certain or a particular thing, you know, which is pretty much what he's just offering me right in front of my eyes. It's just he's offering his most expensive unit just to get slaughtered. Anyway, so let's go to the next picture. So it went exactly as I thought it would go. So I charge him with the zombies. Probably the images are not there yet. I think I didn't make those images, but I charge him with the zombies on the flank, and I pin his unit down. And for I think it was one turn, because what I decided to do. Wait a second. This picture was not correct. Let's go to the next one. This one. Ah, now we're in the correct picture. Because there were a couple of things that I didn't quite get. So the next one is pretty much just like my dire wolves are positioning themselves very foolishly just to, and I was just not sure if I wanted to charge his unit because I was going to get the stand and shoot thing. And with the stand and shoot, you pretty much just I'm just giving him free points. So I decided to not charge, and perhaps I'm just gonna take my dire wolves back. But I was a little too excited to use them, and I didn't remember that it's just sending them to slaughter, and it really serves absolutely no purpose. I'm just giving him points for nothing. But it doesn't matter. Let's go to the next picture. The previous picture I mentioned, previous to that one, it was a little bit of a mistake, but now this is the right picture. So let's see. The Here it is. So what happened is like I charge him on the flank with my unit of zombies, successfully pinning him down. Of course, he's going to cause some wounds to my zombies, but not really relevant. 2 zombies, and sometimes on combat resolution he fails and he has to give ground, so nothing happens over there. My dire wolves are just stayed over there, nothing much changed. In his turn, okay, he gave ground with his unit of knights, but he caused some. Even though that he killed a couple of zombies, he still lost, but he only gave ground. And with the unit of dire wolves, they took a couple of shots from the rifleman, and I lost three. I think it was three or two dire wolves. So yeah, I mean, like I have to get them back, or he's just going to completely kill them. But on the other side, I mean, like I think this is it for him. He literally just fell into my trap, and I'm just gonna box him in and just win with by combat resolution and just slaughter him with the grave guard. But it's gonna take a little bit more. So let's go to the next picture. And the next picture, what I did was I pulled the dire wolves back. Then I think there's one knight missing because I think it was in like a previous turn. Before I charge him, before the turn that I charge his unit, I cast the Doom Bolt at his unit, successfully went through. Now dispel possible, and I killed one of his knights. So he's down to just two knights, one preceptor, and his captain. And of course, then they came the charge. But what I did to avoid getting my necromancer killed is I pulled him out of the unit of graveguard. And since we're in the last turn, so my last charge is the one that I'm going to just like charge with the graveguard, charge with the zombies, pin his unit down. He's going to probably just shoot my dire wolves, and that's going to be the end of the combat. So let's go to the next picture. All right, so in the next picture, everything just went as I predicted. So I box him in with the zombies on his left flank, my other zombies on his right flank. I already had them pinned. I charge in front with the graveguard. So the distribution, of course, he shot all my dire wolves. So that's just points, just dumb points, just wasted. But it doesn't matter. This is the most important. So what happened over here is I concentrated all the attacks, of course, of my graveguard against his unit, and he concentrated all his knights against my graveguard. He successfully only landed one hit, which is pathetic, even though that he attacked with his preceptor and his two knights and the horses. He only made one wound. But the Draenor has a 4 plus. It's a 4 on toughness, so that makes them very resilient. And the zombies over there, for some reason, he didn't want his captain to attack the graveguard, which I think was the best choice. But he decided just to dwindle the flank of the zombies a little bit more and just allocated a couple of wounds on the zombies. But it went as predicted. Yeah, just pretty much. Let's go to the next picture just to clarify more. In the next picture, of course, you know, the graveguard got absolutely killed all of his knights. I got a very good throw. It was 5 hits plus the hit from the Senesco. They don't have 2 attacks, but they only have 1. I usually really need 1, you know. They have a pretty good weapon skill, and with great weapons, I mean, it's just he didn't make his save, so all of his knights are dead. And then I didn't manage to land any hits on the captain, but now he's a single unit, so he has to just swallow pretty much the whole combat resolution by himself. So he has to throw snake eyes just in order to survive. And the last picture, he made a flee move of 7, which was pretty bad. So I could just chase him down with the graveguard and the zombie. So I got 2 chances to get 7, which is a pretty good affordable roll to just run down and kill his captain. And this was the 6th turn. So on his 6th turn, he could just probably maybe just move his rifleman and his halberdiers. That's not gonna do any difference. But I ran him down and I killed his captain. So that was it for the battle. So yeah, victory for the vampire accounts. Now, overall, of course, this is bizarre type of battle report because this is not done with somebody else. This is done with an artificial intelligence. But if you think about it in a way, you know, it's like uh, what you really need is decision making, factors of randomness, as the ones that I stated before in the battle report, and just keep it fair, keep it because the memory bank of this artificial intelligence and the capacity of it to recall rules and to lay out rules and explain rules is pretty good. So you could just use it, you know, and I think that's the only component that you really need, you know. It creates random lists. Then those random lists you just feed them into the army builder with all of with the magical weapons and everything. Make it fair. Then switch the armies if you want to switch or roll who gets what army, who gets what part of the battlefield, and just adapt to the situation. I think that makes it really fair. When it comes to war machines and things like that, that's we're going to see in future battle reports. Of course, I have to roll the artillery dice because we're very complicated. If it tells me that the arrow is pointing a certain direction with a certain amount of degrees or something like that, it will get very mathematical at a certain point, and then I'm just going to throw the artillery dice and the arrow dice. You know, it's just to make things easier. And of course, the AI agreed to it because it will be less complicated. So just for terms of war machines or artillery dice and everything, I throw it myself. In terms of you know, like magic and everything, just take screenshots of the army builder and just feed it to the algorithm, and pretty much figured out what is best, but make sure that you just, this is just show the screenshot. These are the number of spells that you have. Choose one. It's probably going to ask internet or in a database which ones or what the spells wants, and it's going to choose spells according to what is best for the strategy. But overall, I think this was a great, great, great learning experience. I think it's definitely what would I say? Yeah, it's definitely different. It's an alternative when you have absolutely nobody to play Warhammer, but you still want to play and you want to learn and you want to try tactics and you want to learn things or you want to create battle reports as I do. Well, this is a wonderful alternative, because of course you got the alternative of playing it with I think they were developing some softwares that you can make like a simulator of Warhammer, the old world, and you can play it online. Of course, there's an alternative, but if you want to play with the miniatures and create battle reports, I think this is a great alternative, and it just gives you the chance of increasing the community and finding different strategies and things like that. But overall, I think I think it was a very good learning experience. So that's it for this battle report. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.